Thanks, Gerald, and good morning or good afternoon to our witnesses here in the committee. I just want to focus initially on the housing, social and affordable housing. I do have questions for Irish Water as well. So just can I start off with just in terms of the budget for 2023 for social and affordable housing, what is the overall budget that has been allocated?
So the housing budget for 2023 is €3.6 billion.
3.6 billion. Now there's a figure of 4 billion has been out in the media over the last number of days. 4 billion earmarked for spending on social and affordable housing this year. Is that figure?
I think the figure that gets used in that case takes into account the Housing Finance Agency's funding and also funding that would be through the LDA. So the figure that gets compiled, I think, is the housing budget itself, okay, plus those sources of funding.
So 4 billion, and the figure has come out that up to the end of September there's been a spend of 1.9 billion. Is that correct?
So in terms of our in our spending, I think that's correct. And just in terms of the exchequer part.
Okay, 1.9 billion. So less than half of that budget has been spent up until the end of September. And projections for the year end, is it anticipated that the full budget will be exhausted?
Yes, I look. We're about 50% ahead this year in terms of capital spend. We're on track on current spend. We're about 50% ahead of capital spend from where we were this time last year. There is a significant amount of delivery, as always. It's very much back-ended in the year. It's quite a phenomenon that, as much as we look at it, we haven't been able to change. But there will be a lot of social housing units delivered at the end of the year, and that actually takes up the bulk of our budget.
Okay, so unlike last year where there was an underspend of 471 million, or the previous year, 2021, where there was an underspend of 441 million, you're projecting that there will be absolutely zero underspend this year?
Well, I'm not making in the same way as we don't do forecasts on housing activity, we won't give a forecast like that, but our objective is to spend our capital budget in its entirety. There is always an element of carry forward, but we don't like surrendering money. And last year, look, we had this discussion last time we were at the committee. Nobody gets up in the Department of Housing in the morning and wants to underspend their budget. We do, however, want to spend our budget properly and in line with all of the procedures that we've got to do.
Okay, so you can't give assurances that there'll be no underspend.
It is all tied to how many units get delivered and claimed before that magic 31st of December. Discrete periods of time called years, it either falls in or it doesn't. If it doesn't fall in and get delivered, it doesn't get funded.
What we're hearing here this morning, even the targets of 9,100, I mean, we're getting no commitment that target of 9,100 social and affordable housing will be met. What we're hearing is that there will be a substantial increase on last year, which was pretty low, and many would say that the target that is set by government is too low to begin with. So we're not even given assurances that target of 9,000, low target of 9,100 will be met. And again, we're not, certainly I'm getting no assurances that there won't be an underspend within the department again this year.
Debbie, could I just say, just in relation to last year's spend, if we go back to the last full year of activity just before COVID, last year's delivery of new build was about 50% higher than that. This year's new build is looking to be ahead of that, while I'm not putting a forecasted amount on it. So what I can give a commitment to is that every effort is being made to try and deliver those units this year.
Okay, but no assurances. Can I just move on to the whole issue of voids of local authority housing, which is an absolute crime to have any local authority houses vacant at any point. And I'll cite my own constituency of Wicklow, where currently there's 145 local authority houses boarded up right across the county. Can I ask in terms of figures overall for the state of local authority voids or boarded up houses, vacant council properties? Do we have
just in terms of the void figures, I'll ask Caroline to come in a moment, just to say that we don't count voids in terms of housing delivery, but we do fund, and we are very anxious to see those void units used. We provide significant funding in the last couple of years. There was stimulus funding about 2 years ago that was a blitz on a lot of that activity. Different local authorities have different approaches to voids. Some do a minimal refurb to get the unit in.
I'm
Others
aware
do more
that.
extensive.
I'm just conscious at the time.
Caroline,
do we have an overall
Caroline,
figure?
if you can give an overall sense of the void, please.
So I can give you the target we have for our voids programme, which is 2,400.
Well, do we have a figure? How many are vacant, boarded up?
No, that's not a figure that the department collects. However, it is collected by the NOAC, and I think they give the figures for 2021. The proportion of local authority stock, just from memory, that is void is very small compared to the overall levels of local authority stock.
Okay, that's not the question I asked. It may be small, but to have 145 houses boarded up.
We will get it for you.
Okay, yeah, but it may be small, but you would appreciate in the midst of a housing crisis to have 145 local authority houses boarded up in one constituency is an absolute crime. And the local authority would say,
that is why we provide the funding.
Well, the local authority would say that, look, I mean, the reason why many of those houses are boarded up, some for over 2 years and more, is because of the lack of funding coming from central government. So can you give assurances that any requests coming in from local authorities to carry out pre-letting works on all local authority houses boarded up, that 100% funding on requests will be provided by the department?
Deputy, we're very anxious to fund voids. I can never say any request that comes in, but we are very anxious to spend the budget available to us.
Okay, well, look.
And there is, and sorry, I have detailed figures to answer your question here in front of me now. I won't take up your time by giving them all. Just the bottom line is, if we look at significant refurb programs or voids, which are not as significant, it's about 2,000 units in total. Now, some of those are significant refurbs, taking families out and putting them back in.
So 2,000 across the state.
It's about 2,000, which is about 1.5%.
Okay, well, I have a situation where, again, 145 in Wicklow, 2,000 across the state. When I engage with my local authority in Wicklow, they say they can only progress so far because of shortage of funding coming from central government. So you're saying you can't give assurances that requests coming in from Wicklow or any other local authorities for funding.
Yeah, we actually have been going out with additional funding. We have.
Okay, so
we're
very
all
anxious requests for funding are being met by local authorities.
We will always discuss voids with local authorities and try and fund.
Okay, discussing and giving assurances that all funding
look,
requests.
no accounting officer comes in, Deputy, and gives an absolute assurance that any request that comes in will be dealt with. I can give you assurance that we're very interested in getting all of those units back into use.
Okay, as are there many hundreds of thousands across the state and in Wicklow as well. When again in a housing crisis, to see houses boarded up for 2 years and more in some cases is an absolute disgrace. So I'd encourage you to engage with local authorities, particularly Wicklow in my case. Can I just, for the last couple of minutes I have here, just deal with the situation and questions to Irish Water in relation to the algae bloom that we've seen in Lough Neagh in the 6 counties over the summer, but there are considerable concerns in this state as well under your jurisdiction. I know Killarney has been cited again in my own constituency of Blessington Lakes. An Taisce have highlighted serious concerns they have with regard algae blooms in Blessington Lakes. Blessington Lakes, as you well know, provide up to 40% of the drinking water for the greater Dublin area. So can I ask, are there concerns there in terms of the algae blooms in Pleasant and other areas, and what actions are being taken?
Algae blooms some of them are naturally occurring, and we do have them in quite a lot of our water bodies. Sean, you might elaborate on that.
Yeah, just very quickly, look, algal blooms are natural, and they've been a recurring phenomenon on the Vartry system for the last number of decades. We know exactly when they arrive. They come in March, April time. They're generally gone by May. We are keeping an eye on it. The issue in Lough Neagh really is around the fact that you have multiple wastewater treatment plants discharging into what is essentially a closed lake, and you've also got a lot of runoff from agricultural activity, which is raising the amount of nutrients in the water, which is driving the algal bloom. We do get the odd algal bloom up in Pleasanton Lakes, but we are monitoring it very, very closely. We're not in a similar situation as we are in Lough Neagh, but that's not to say that we shouldn't keep an eye on these type of things.
So your Deputy O'Connor.
No, the treatment plant is fully capable.
To, I suppose, members of the public that would use the lakes for amenity purposes?
No, at the moment. Essentially, blue-green algae is the stuff that you need to look for. We do get that on very rare occasions, but we wouldn't consider it a threat at the moment.